Good evening and welcome to the Dollar Dogs and Beer Podcast. I am your host, Andrew, and joining me tonight, as always, we have Jason and Joe. Joe, how are you doing tonight? I love your shirt, man.
Yeah, Cubs may have a day off, but there's no days off when you need to send a message to ownership. So taking
Absolutely.
the opportunity to send that message.
Absolutely. And back from roasting in the right field bleachers in one of probably the most exciting Phillies games, honestly, in years. Jason, how the hell was the game, man?
I tell you what, I cannot wait to recap that game later. I am still feeling the sunburn at the moment, but it was absolutely worth it. Great time with our buddy Matt from Huddle Up, and I tell you what, that was easily the coolest game I've been a part of in person. That's probably the best game and win the Phillies have had, I say, since Harper's walk-off slam against the Cubs in, I believe it was 2018. Sorry, Joe.
All right. So, Joe, what are you drinking tonight, bud?
I'm on the SoCo Mountain Dew train again this week. I tell you what, last week was absolutely brutal. 9 games in a week, just absolutely brutal. So I'm still kind of in recovery mode from that. So.
Yeah, I'm going to touch on this later too, but my God, that's just absolute garbage. That should not happen ever. Jason, what are you drinking tonight?
First, I'd like to touch on the comment from Karen. The reason that my hat is like this is because the other way, the lighting is not that great, so I'm in a shadow. So I figured just for today, I'll go the way of our buddy Dave or Jim and hat back so there's better light. So, yeah, sorry, Karen. But because I'm feeling so good after yesterday, and it was an amazing week with Joe Girardi being relieved of his duties as manager in Philadelphia, as I've been wanting for the last few weeks.
Of the podcast, practically.
Yeah. I brought out the good whiskey. I have the Lagavulin Offerman edition. So cheers to that, boys.
All right, and tonight I am drinking the corroboration between Heavy Seas Brewing and Giant, the Key Lime Kraken. I gotta say, I'm not generally an IPA fan. This thing's freaking delicious. Jason, didn't you have this one a week or two ago?
I don't believe so. What was the name of that one again?
Key Lime Kraken.
No, that I did not have that one. I had the Filthy Peach.
Yeah. Give it a shot. You'll like it. All right, guys. So let's kick things off. So last week on June 2nd, we had Lou Gehrig Day. Lou Gehrig, he played 17 seasons, the entirety of which was with the Yankees. He earned the nickname the Iron Horse due to his durability. He played in 2,130 consecutive games, which was a record which was long considered unbreakable until Cal Ripken broke it back in the 90s. And now it's pretty safe to say that record is probably once again unbreakable. Although, hey, it was broken once. Maybe it'll happen again, but I highly doubt it. Just some amazing stat lines Gehrig put up in his career. He had 7 consecutive All-Star Game selections. He won the Triple Crown. He was an AL MVP twice. He was a 6-time World Series champion. He had a career slash line of 340, 632, 447. He hit 493 home runs. He had 1,995 RBIs. He was one of only 3 hitters in the history of the game to have 500-plus RBIs in a 3-season stretch. And he did that with 509. The other 2 guys, Jimmy Fox had 507 and Hank Greenberg had 503. Utterly insane. He had 13 consecutive seasons with 100-plus RBIs. That record is shared with Jimmy Fox, and also A-Rod tied that record as well later. He was the first Major League Baseball player to have his number retired by a team. His number was 4, and the reason he picked number 4 was because he batted 4th in the lineup behind Babe Ruth. He was the first athlete to be featured on a Wheaties box, which is crazy to think about. He took himself voluntarily out of the lineup due to poor performance because of an undiagnosed ailment that was subsequently confirmed by the Mayo Clinic to be amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or better known as ALS. And now we call it Lou Gehrig's disease because of Lou Gehrig. He retired at the age of 36. He died 2 years later, just 17 days before he would have turned 38. His farewell speech capped by his iconic 1939 luckiest man on the face of the earth speech at Yankee Stadium. Guys, I wrote the whole thing out for you guys. I'm just going to read the first paragraph. This is what most people know from it. And he said, "Fans, for the past 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad break. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I have been in ballparks for 17 years and never received anything but kindness and encouragement from you fans." If you ever get a chance, his website, or I believe it's on his Wikipedia page too, they have the entirety of the speech. Just absolutely heart-wrenching. I'm sure there wasn't a dry eye in the stadium after he recited it. New York City mayor at the time, Fiorello LaGuardia, called Gehrig, quote, "the perfect prototype of the best sportsmanship and citizenship." Yankee manager Joe McCarthy said he was the finest example of a ball player, sportsman, and citizen that baseball has ever known. In 1969, the Baseball Writers Association of America voted him the greatest first baseman of all time, and he was the leading vote getter of the MLB All-Century team as voted by the fans in 1999. He was also my vote as well for first baseman in that All-Century team. I do remember that. And then in 1955, the Lou Gehrig Memorial Award was created. It's given annually to an MLB player who best exhibits Gehrig's character and integrity on and off the field. And last year's winner was Salvador Perez of the Royals. It's actually, guys, it's the only award that is not awarded by MLB. It's actually awarded by a fraternity instead. Looking specifically at ALS, it's a neurodegenerative disease that results in the progressive loss of motor neurons that control voluntary muscles. Half of people with ALS develop at least mild difficulties with thinking and behavior, and about 15% of those develop frontotemporal dementia as well. The affected muscles are responsible for simple things like chewing food, speaking, walking, and that motor neuron loss will continue until the ability to eat, speak, move, and finally breathe is lost. 90 to 95% of cases have no known cause, although genetic and environmental factors are believed to be involved. Right now, there is no known cure for ALS, and treatment is simply to improve symptoms and improve quality of life. There's a drug out there called Riluzole that might extend life by a couple months, but it's nothing close to a cure. You could also do things like non-invasive ventilation to help improve the quality and the length of life. The disease, now Gehrig was really unusual in this guy's disease. Usually starts around age 60 unless it's inherited, in which case it'll start around 50. Life expectancy from diagnosis is typically 2 to 4 years, although approximately 10% of people live for 10 years or longer. Probably the best known case would be Stephen Hawking, who survived for 55 years with ALS, although he blew the end of the bell curve straight off. So, take that as you will. And the thing with ALS, it doesn't receive a lot of research funds because it's a relatively small number of people that get diagnosed with it. The Ice Bucket Challenge back in 2015, though, helped to raise over $20 million for the ALS Association as well as research. Joe, in our group chat this week, you had brought up Project Main Street. Do you want to talk a little bit about them?
Yeah. First, I want to say though, with Gehrig's speech in general, I think that first line really sticks out, but I think the last line really sticks out too. So we close in saying that I may have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for. And I think a lot of us could benefit from that mentality in life. Certainly gives you a different perspective. So I just want to touch on that. But yeah, Project Main Street, they work to improve the quality of life for those with ALS and their families, trying to lessen the burden on it. Tim Sheehy was the one who started this in 2005 after he was diagnosed with it. A lot of publicity in the last week or so from ESPN guys will know him as John Shambi, but his nickname is Boog, and he's the lead play-by-play guy for the Cubs now in Marquee. So I get to listen to him every day now, which is awesome. So he does a lot of work with this. The grants from this organization go for eye machines to help patients who have lost the ability to speak, communicate, ADA accessible homes, life expenses, and it's a 100% volunteer organization with 100% of the funds going toward a cure or toward care and research. Obvious Shirts, who I've talked about a bit here in Wrigleyville, they worked with Shambi to do end ALS for Lou shirts, and they have them for every team in Major League Baseball. If you go to obviousshirts.com/collection/end ALS for Lou, it's that they sell all the different team color shirts there, and 100% of that money goes straight to Project Main Street to try and make a dent in the lack of research funding and to help make life a little more livable for those who have ALS. So,
And Joe, the thing that really struck me about Project Main Street too is they're also providing financial assistance for these families. I mean, you look at Gehrig. He was the pinnacle, the top performance of baseball, and just his performance whittled down to nothing as his strength was sapped. I was reading a couple different articles about Gehrig, and one of the sports writers who I can't remember who it was, but followed the Yankees for years and years and said something is physically wrong with him. He is still squaring up on the ball. He is still making great contact, but the ball is not traveling like it used to. And it's something like that. It's definitely something that would be noticed more by people that are close to you, people that have been following you for so many years. But I mean, Gehrig could not play anymore. And he did for a time. I believe he worked with the city of New York. I think he was like something with a parole officer or something like that, just because he still wanted to be a public servant. And you have to commend the guy for that. He's slowly losing his ability to function, to live, and he's still trying to reach out and help others and do things for others. I mean, I don't know if we will ever again see somebody who could combine greatness on and off the field quite as well as Gehrig did. But like I said, the fact that Project Main Street is able to provide even just basic financial assistance as well as the assistive devices for these families, because Gehrig went from making wasn't making millions like players make today, but he was making a comfortable living for him and his wife. So I have to say, Joe, I really appreciate you sharing what they do in the group chat so we could learn more about them. That's a phenomenal charity. Jason, anything for you?
I mean, you guys covered it. ALS is an absolutely debilitating disease. It really just destroys the body, and my heart goes out to those who suffer from it, those who have lost loved ones from it. And I just really hope that that the funds can be raised to try and continue to find a cure for this disease. It's really a shame that it has come such a long way and still has so far yet to go.
We like to look at how we have made so many advancements in medicine. I mean, look at what we've done with cancer research and cancer treatments. There are cancers today that we may not be able to cure, but we can help people live comfortably with for years longer than they used to be able to. A lot of cancers we can even palliatively treat today used to be death sentences, even 10, 15 years ago. I really hope we see that jump with ALS sometime in the relatively near future, especially with the links that they're potentially finding between things like CTE that we see more with the soccer players, the hockey players, the football players, and they're potentially seeing a link there, and with the early onset dementia as well. If they could find some connection between the three of these and throw the research money at it, let's see what we can do. I mean, I know we always like to point out, athletes make a ridiculous amount of money to play kids games, but then again, they demand those salaries, and the owners keep paying them. That said, all the money in the world isn't going to help if there's no treatment for something. So when I worked at the hospital, I helped to take care of patients that have ALS. I mean, it is here in Lancaster County too. It's not, it's not common, thank God, but it's even here too. So I can tell you this: those families were not from professional athletes that made millions and millions and millions of dollars. So, guys, I know it's not Ice Bucket Challenge anymore, but if you have a little spare money and aren't sure, that you like to donate, you're not sure where you can put it, Project Main Street would be a great place to send it, or any of the other ALS research groups as well. All right, let's move on to some happier topics. We don't normally venture off into the realm of softball too often, but I couldn't help myself. Jocelyn Alo of Oklahoma, she is the current Babe Ruth or Hank Aaron of college softball. She is now the first softball player in NCAA Division I history to have 3 30-home run seasons. Earlier this year in March, she broke the career home run record with 108. She's now up to 118. She broke the record of 96 back in March. Back in 2018 as a freshman, she set the NCAA freshman record with 30 home runs. For the season, guys, Oklahoma has been annihilating just about everybody they face. They're 56-2. Actually, I believe they won today, so they're now 57-2. At one point, they were on a 40-game winning streak, which Texas broke earlier this year, and then the Sooners repaid them with a 7-2 win on Saturday. They are in the College World Series semifinals for the 6th consecutive year. They've scored 20 runs in their first 2 games of the College World Series, which is tied with the 95 Arizona Wildcats for second most all-time in the first 2 games of a College World Series. Throughout their postseason run, they've outscored opponents 72-7, and they haven't allowed more than 2 runs in a game. That's insane. And the game with Texas, that was the first ever College World Series softball game that was on a network television. That was aired on ABC. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. What she has done, what Oklahoma has done this season. I'll admit I don't watch a ton of softball, but I happened to watch some of the clips from that game, and my God, that Oklahoma team, I think they could duke it out with some of these major league teams. I mean, obviously some rule differences apply here, but they are really, really scary good. Jason, I can't remember if it was you or Joe. One of you guys put a bug in my ear earlier this year about her chase the all-time home run record. I can't remember which one of you it was, but sorry, kicked myself out. She has so much power in that swing. It's such a balanced swing. I mean, I'm really curious. How many home runs do you think she's going to hit by the end of this College World Series? Because she's annihilating everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just flat out dominance. And I'm assuming that Oklahoma is the top team in the country. I don't know too much about what's going on in the college softball category right now. But based off of just that alone, being 56-2 on the season, I would have to assume that they are the top team in the tournament. So if they keep this pace, I mean, it's not even going to be close. They're going to run away with the national title. And if she's at 118, I'm going to say she'll end up probably there in the semifinals, 123, 124.
She just hit 120 today, and it was a grand slam.
So I'll go 124 to like 125.
I could see that. And by the way, they mercy rolled UCLA today. They are the number one overall team. In 5 innings, they won that 15-0. Wow, that's not bad. All right, and now for a little bit of comical news before we get into something a little more serious again. Dave Roberts on Saturday was denied by the umpires. He tried to bring in one of their utility guys, Zach McKinstry, to pitch, but was denied by the umpires because back in 2019 or 2018, they made a rule that prevents the use of non-pitchers if the deficit's only 5 runs or fewer. And the game was 9-4 at that point, so it was only a 5-run deficit. So, after pulling Clayton Kershaw out of a perfect game earlier this year, it was kind of nice to see something silly slap Davey Roberts back in the face. Hey, we're not going to see that too often. And by the way, the Mets still won that game 9-4. So it was nice to see the Dodgers lose. All right, Jason, do you want to take it away with Joe Girardi?
I would love to. So this week, Phillies started out losing 2 out of 3 to the Giants. We'll do a little quick recap later. First 2 games, they lost in extra innings, each time after either having a lead or tying a game, something like that, and just wasting the heroic efforts. After Tuesday's game, Joe Girardi did say that he was not worried about his job security, and the Phillies ended up winning the final game of the Giants series. And then on Friday, the news broke later in the morning that Joe Girardi was relieved of his duties, and Rob Thompson, who was the bench coach, is now the interim manager. And I am all for it. So the thing with Joe Girardi here, he was fired after the terrible start. Phillies have a $233 million payroll, and yes, Girardi has had a decent career as a player and a manager. He won multiple World Series with the Yankees. He has a World Series title, which was in 2009 with the Yankees over the Phils, 6 postseasons in 14 years, and his career record is 85 games over 500 during the regular season, which is 30th all-time among managers. But here's the thing. 1 World Series title in 2009 with an incredibly loaded, the highest payroll team in the league, the Yankees, does not get you a pass when your $233 million payroll that has all these powerful hitters that are just not performing. There were 7 games under 500 after, like, when they let him go. That team should not have been 22-29. And a lot of this comes down to Girardi's mismanagement of the team. Now, a lot of people are saying Girardi's not the problem. There's other problems. Yes, but you can't fix every problem at one time. You have to start with one problem, fix that, and then look at the other issues. The Phillies aren't going to just magically get a new bullpen. The Phillies aren't magically going to get their defense better. So where can they start? Some people might argue Dombrowski, the president of baseball operations. But because he's constructed this roster so far that should be competitive, you have to look elsewhere, at least for the time being, and that's the manager. And so Joe Girardi had to go. The Phillies under Joe Girardi within these last 3 seasons are 131 and 142, which is a 480 win percentage. This team is better than that. He's mismanaging the bullpen. He's mismanaging the pitchers. Multiple times he prefers to wrap pitchers around innings. The other week he had Knebel come in the 9th, and then he brought him back out in the 10th. There's no reason to bring your closer out for multiple innings. Keep trying for 4-out saves, things like that. And he also would not play the young guys. Bryson Stott. Now, Mickey Moniak was hurt the first 2 months of the season, but even when he came up last week, hardly getting the playing time for Odubel Herrera in center field. You can't tell me that Mickey Moniak couldn't do what Odubel does. Moniak's defense is much better. So there's a way to improve some of the defense. Get the young kids in who are excitable. They bring that energy, because this team is just simply not having fun, no energy. And that starts with their leader. And that's Joe Girardi, or was Joe Girardi, who, and this is probably the thing that drove me nuts the most, was he just it didn't seem like he cared. He had no energy, it was like he was just there. So you need to get somebody that can get the clubhouse going. And what really started for me was Girardi, after a loss, saying, well, we played 8 good innings. Okay, and what happened that last inning? It was time for a change. And I am very happy that Rob Thompson's getting the shot. I hope all of the success for him, and the Phillies have started out. I mean, they haven't lost under Rob Thompson yet. I mean, I'm not saying that that's an immediate fix, but there are some things that I'll get into later with the recaps that are already quite different from the way Joe Girardi was managing this team, and I am all for it.
So, and Jason, I do agree with you. Yeah, they had to make a move. Was it the right move, though? Does Dombrowski need to go?
I think he would potentially be he's the next one on the chopping block. And I get that, the big thing right now was there were so many holes to fix, and the biggest hole is the bullpen, which Dombrowski did not do nearly enough to fix. Now, one credit to him here, he did bring in Brad Hand, who has been exceptional for the Phils this year. Brad Hand this season has gone 16 innings, 12 hits, 3 runs, and a 1.13 ERA. In his last 10, he's 7.1 innings pitched, 6 hits, no earned runs. Last 3 innings pitched, no hits, and just like 3 holds. So he has made some good decisions. He did bring in Schwarber and Castellanos, which, again, I get that they don't have the best defense. But the fact of the matter is they lost multiple people this offseason. They had to fill in the holes. Schwarber is an upgrade overall over McCutcheon in left. And really with the DH coming in, why not try and get another big bat like Castellanos? And that has worked in their favor because of Harper going down with his injury. Without the DH, Harper is on the injured list. So now you can slide Harper into the DH spot like he has been and still have a reasonable glove and arm in right field with Castellanos. So Dombrowski, I think, would be next on the chopping block. But right now, I think Girardi had to be the first step to get that energy and excitement back within the clubhouse.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And this isn't really the time of the year that you fire a position like Dombrowski's. It's a really bad idea to change over your front office in the middle of the season, even if the front office is utterly incompetent. Some stats I pulled up over the weekend, Jason. The Phillies are among the worst defensive teams in the majors. I mean, we've touched on that time and time again. Some advanced stats: 29th in defensive run save, 30th in outs above average this year. And again, Schwarber, Castellanos, they're all bats and very good bats, no doubt about it. But, well, when Schwarber's hitting, it's a good bat anyway. But defensively, they're liabilities. Here's the thing that's really driving me nuts, though. They go after those guys, and this probably has to be driving you nuts, too. You guys don't really have an everyday center fielder. you don't have an everyday shortstop right now. Segura is going to be out for a little while, I believe. And the thing with Harper, yeah, it's great you have the DH and you don't have to put him on the IL, but he's not the guy that needs to be in the DH. You guys need to be putting Bowman. You need to be putting Schwarber, Castellanos, even Hoskins maybe at DH just to rest him and get him out of there every couple days. He's never, Hoskins was never going to be a Gold Glove first baseman, but he's usually above average. And I feel like, I know maybe I'm pushing that a little bit, but compared to Bohm, I mean, I don't know, man. Let me bring up that comment from Facebook. Dave Griner had said, yeah, the guy who won a World Series as player to manager, practically every stop along the way is the problem. Glad I'm a Yankees fan. Dave, here's the problem with that. He won rings as a player with the Yankees. He won a single ring as the manager with the Yankees, and then his other two stops were the Marlins and the Phillies. Now, granted, the Marlins, he was only there for a year. So, 481 winning percentage, finishing fourth. And then he basically almost immediately jumped ship to the Yankees. And then, you had a 3-year gap between when he left the Yankees and joined the Phillies. And last year he got the Phillies over 500 for the first time in a very, very long time, which that was phenomenal. But Joe Girardi hasn't proven anything when he's not with the damn Yankees and that huge payroll. And he's got a huge payroll right now with the Phillies, and he's doing nothing with it. So, Dave, I'm glad you're a Yankees fan. I'm glad you got to enjoy the benefits thereof of Joe Girardi, both as a player and as a manager. I really am glad for you, bud. But he's not showing me anything I'm impressed by. And, all last year and all this year, we've been talking about his horrible management of the bullpen. I mean, Jason, it was last week, I think you brought up, why the hell is Norwood even on the major league roster right now when he pretty much comes in and gives up 3-4 runs? I mean, the only time that guy should come in is when they're already down by 8, and who really gives a crap if he gives up 4 more runs? You're not going to come back from an 8-run deficit most of the time anyway. So, Jason, I hope the move works for you guys, because the Phillies have been, as underwhelming as Atlanta's been to start the year, as at least they've got the excuse of defending World Series champions. They're dealing with all of that and everything else, which is kind of bogus in my opinion. I hate it when people use that excuse, but it is an excuse. But the Phillies, I really did expect them to start better than they have, and hopefully now with the change at the top, that'll give them a little bit of a jolt to keep going. And we're going to see coming up just how much that is, because you guys have an interesting week coming up. You're going out to Milwaukee for 3, and that's going to be, and you've got both Hauser and Burns you'll be facing out there. And then you come back for the Diamondbacks, and I'm not nearly as worried about that series as I am about the Brewers series. That's where we're going to really see what impact Thompson is going to have on this roster, facing facing a division-leading team with really, really good pitching that you're going to have to get opportunistic hitting. You're going to have to get, and then you're going to have to manage the bullpen right if you manage to squeak a lead out. So it's going to be fun to see, honestly, because they really had to do something. And you do have to give them credit. I really thought they'd wait till the All-Star break, but I think now is a better time than waiting another month for that team to get mired farther and farther back in the standings.
Yeah, and I just want to. There are a couple things to say in there that I wanted to touch on. Mm-hmm. They do have a player that should be their everyday center fielder, and that's Mickey Moniak. He was out the first 2 months of the season. I think with Thompson in here now, you're going to see him play a lot more. Now, he did get a break yesterday, and Herrera played center field yesterday. But our everyday shortstop was actually DD, who was activated yesterday. And then eventually they needed to bring him in because Camargo hurt his ankle a little bit in the 8th inning. So, or 9th inning, I forget. But they then were able to slide Stott over to second base with Segura going down. So they have the position players they need. So as far as the defense goes, Bohm has been much more solid since that 3-error game and his little "I hate this effing hate this place," which I feel like that was almost like a turning point in his career now, because he's been solid since then. He's touched home plate multiple times in Atlanta. He made an exceptional play the other night, going to the backhand beyond the baseline and just throwing the ball over to first and getting it there. And cameras caught him saying, "I thought I was going to F that one up." So you can tell that he's working on it, and I think he'll be fine. Do I think he's a third baseman of the future? No. I think he's potentially going to move over to first base at some point. But the Phillies have made the moves they needed to. Their defense is getting better. It's not where it needs to be yet, but it's improving, and that's really all you can kind of ask for right now, especially with there being all those holes that are needed to be filled. And as the young guys come up and continue to get playing time, you're going to look at Stott. After this year, Stott's probably going to be the everyday shortstop because Didi comes off the books. So they have the future players in there. It's just a matter of getting them the playing time, getting them built up, and then letting them take the reins.
Yeah, let me see here. Hey, good news. Baum is now no longer the league leader in errors at third base. He is now tied with Michael Franco and Ke'Bryan Hayes. So, hey, 7 errors is still pretty bad, but it's hopefully going to get better. Yeah, and I do know, Jason, injuries have kind of really taken a rather nasty hit for the Phillies so far, which is, a good reason why a lot of the defensive issues have been there as well. I will say this for you, Jason. At least this means you won't have to see Roman Quinn in center field, hopefully very much ever again.
Or at the plate. Yeah, they did DFA him, and he cleared waivers yesterday. So they did outright him to Lehigh Valley, and he instead chose free agency. So he is no longer a part of the organization. He's a free agent. And he'd be good to have on the base paths, but that's pretty much it.
He's basically relegated to the role of being a pinch runner late in the game at this point. He doesn't have the bat to be an everyday guy, and his defense, as we saw in the Atlanta series, when he just absolutely horribly misplayed that ball out in center, that's garbage. And a guy with speed like that, they're normally reliable because if they make the wrong first step, they've got the speed to recover and get to the damn ball. And he takes the wrong line, and his arm isn't particularly impressive. And yeah, so congratulations on ridding yourself of that guy off the roster. And
for the second time this season.
No, I wasn't even going to bring that up.
Yeah, they did originally option him, and he wanted his release again earlier. And then with the injury to Moniak at the end, they needed to fill in a little bit, so they brought him back, and now he's gone again. So the revolving door that is Roman Quinn.
What are the odds there's another injury and he comes back a third time?
You shut your mouth. Don't you bring that bad juju on me, Ricky Bobby. Don't you do it.
Whatever you say, Will Smith. All right, Jason, you want to kick off the Phillies recap?
Yeah, let's do it since we're already there. Kind of. Game 1 against the Giants this week, it ended up being an extra inning loss in 10, 5-4. You had Castellanos and Hoskins with home runs. Flores had a home run for the Giants, and Longoria hit a home run for the Giants in the 9th. That got them a lead. And then Kyle Schwarber, trying to play hero, ties it up in the 9th with a home run that when you first look at it, it looks like it's going to actually caught at the center field wall, but it ends up just sneaking over. And then 10th inning, you had a home run by Casali, which ended up being the difference maker there. Knable couldn't hold them in the 9th. And then Bellotti gave up the home run in the 10th, so he took the loss. Gibson for the Phils went 6, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and had 4 strikeouts. Webb for the Giants went 8, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, and 10 strikeouts. So again, this is kind of starting that almost rock bottom as far as Joe Girardi is concerned, especially because the next night it was a 7-4 loss in 11 innings, and Bellotti again was brought in the 11th and gave up a big 2-run home run again to Jock Peterson. So 2 straight nights, you're looking at the wrong decisions being made. And for this game, Bryce Harper did get scratched with a sore arm, but he was okay overall, which we will touch on that later. And then in this game, Gene Segura was trying to bunt a runner over, and basic fundamentals that they teach you in Little League, you never try to bunt while holding the barrel of the bat this way. And pitch came in as he tried to bunt right off the index finger, broken finger, had surgery to fix that, and he is now out 10 to 12 weeks, which is a big blow defensively at second base and even bats. He as Joe likes to do with Moneyball, Gene gets on base. So they have to pick that up, and it looks like that they did here. But the game was 3-3 entering the 10th, as each ghost runner scored in that 10th before Peterson had that home run. So that was a bit rough. But the Phils did bounce, and after that game was when Joe Girardi said that he was not fearing for his job. He didn't think that there was anything going to happen, which, I guess as a manager, you kind of want to say that. You need to say that because, it wouldn't be good if you're like, I'll probably be gone soon. So I get it, but it wasn't good foreshadowing for Joe. Game 3, the Phils avoided the sweep with a 6-5 win. And the other thing here, after that loss, the Phils ended up being 7 games under 500. So, or 8 games under 500. So that they bounced back, though, got the win 6-5 in game 3. Flores hit a 3-run homer in the 6th to give them the 5-2 lead. And then young kid, Nick Maton, 2-run homer in the 6th to give them the bring to within a 5-4 deficit. And then Kyle Schwarber had another 2-run homer in the 6th as well, which gave them the 6-5 lead, and that went the rest of the way. Sanchez, Hand, and Knable were solid to close that out. Aaron Nola got the win. He went 6, gave up 5 hits, 5 earned runs, and had 5 strikeouts, so 5 was his magic number. Not a great outing, but the offense picked him up, and so did the bullpen, which was needed. Rodon got the no decision. He went 5, gave up 6 hits, an earned run, and had 6 strikeouts. Garcia gave up the home runs to Maton and Schwarber, so he ended up taking the loss. You guys have anything on the Giants series before we move over to the big series of the week?
Nah, I think you pretty much covered it.
Yeah, so Friday morning, Joe Girardi gets fired. Rob Thompson is the new interim manager. And the Bats come alive for a 10-0 win in his first game as the manager. So Zach Eflin went 8 innings, gave up 5 hits, no runs, and had 6 strikeouts. Silseth for the Angels went 1.2, gave up 4 hits, 4 runs, and had 1 strikeout. And the momentum of the game shifted immediately because the first pitch he saw on the bottom of the first, Kyle Schwarber hit it off the center field wall for a long home run. And then in the second inning, Bryson Stott, who was getting playing time with this new manager, did not get the playing time with Joe Girardi. had kind of like a giant middle finger to Joe Girardi and cranked his first career home run. So kudos to Stott, and it wouldn't even be his biggest hit on the weekend. Same with Bryce Harper, who had a 3-run homer in the 5th. And then Schwarber hit his second home run of the game in the 6th, also off the center field wall. And Bryce Harper decided he needed to match Schwarber, and he went with his second of the game in the 6th as well. Both of Harper's home runs were opotacos, so opposite field home runs, which is really awesome to see. And within this game, Rob Thompson played the kids. You had Bohm in the lineup. You had Maton in the lineup. You had Moniak in center field. You had Stott in the field at short. And they impressed. Now, it's really unfortunate. Nick Maton did hurt his shoulder making a diving play, and he is on the 10-day injured list retroactive to that game. So hopefully he can come back soon healthy and be a good contributor to the team. But of note in this, Rob Thompson said that it is absolutely important for the young kids to get at-bats and that he wants them to get at-bats regularly. That is already a big difference between he and the Joe Girardi era. That's how you get the energy back. You have these kids who are excited to play the game. They bring all that energy, and it showed. So they had the 10-0 win, and Zach Eflin became the first pitcher to strike out Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout consecutively on 6 pitches. So pretty impressive stat there for Eflin, who is kind of having an under-the-radar breakout year, which is great after he was hurt at midway through last year while he was doing well. Game 2 for the Phillies and Angels. You had Lorenzen for the Angels go 5 2/3, 5 hits, 5 runs, 9 strikeouts. Zach Wheeler, recently named May NL Pitcher of the Month, went 6, gave up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, and had 9 strikeouts. Brad Hand's ERA dropped down to a 1.13. And the biggest things here, JT Realmuto had 3 doubles, 2 RBI. And Johan Camargo filling in again, who has been a blessing for the Phils so far this year with his defense and his bat. He had 4 RBIs while having 2 singles. So key hits, absolutely needed. Phil's win this game 7-2. JT Realmuto also threw out Shohei Ohtani at second base in the game, which is an impressive feat just because Ohtani is incredibly fast. So I don't know when teams will learn that you don't run on JT Realmuto, but you shouldn't try running on JT Realmuto. And then we get to game 3 yesterday, and I was fortunate enough to go to this game with a buddy of mine, Matt, who's part of the Huddle Up podcast crew. He's a season ticket holder for the Sunday games, and he had a ticket for this past weekend, so I got to go with him. And we got there to watch batting practice. And as you know, the visiting team is usually the one that's doing the batting practice while the crowd starts coming in. So we got to watch Mike Trout's batting practice. And it was everything I hoped it would be and more. Just hitting home runs to Ashburn Alley out beyond the center field wall, hitting bombs off of the batter's eye brick wall in center field. It was just fantastic to watch. And he did nothing in the game like he has done nothing over the last few games. So it was cool. It was like, hey, I got to watch Mike Trout hit home runs without Mike Trout actually hitting a home run. So it's like best of both worlds right there. But in this game, it started out pretty solid, especially from the pitching side. Both Gibson and Sandoval started out really locating their pitches well. Sandoval's curveball was just dropping in. Like he wasn't hanging them or anything. And Gibson, the wheels fell off in the 4th. He ended up going 3 1/3, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, and 3 strikeouts. he gave up a double to Shohei, walked Trout, and just couldn't quite get out of that inning. Sandoval ended up going 4 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, and 4 strikeouts. And then for the Phils in the bullpen, Nelson pitched phenomenally in relief. So did Sanchez and Familia. They basically held down the fort while the Phils tried to get back into it. In the 4th inning, the Angels did play some small ball, basically just getting a couple base hits here or there, ground out. So they did get those runs in there, a 5-run 4th. And the Phils got 2 back in the 5th with a sacrifice fly and a ground out. So really good use of small ball there to try and just start chipping away at the lead. Matt and I were in the crowd saying, you can't try for all these home runs. You need to just chip away at the lead and bide your time, which is something that the Phils did not do in the past. So seeing them do that yesterday was a really good sign. And in the bottom of the 8th inning, Bryce Harper is up with the bases loaded and a 3-2 count, and he hits an absolute blast of a grand slam to the second deck in right field, a couple sections over from where we were. It was, they said it was 426 feet. It was just destroyed. We were sitting there watching the ball come over, and it just disappeared because it went into the second deck. So that was pretty sweet. And it came off of Iglesias for the Angels. Bryce Harper's last 3 at-bats off of Iglesias have ended up being home runs. So might not want to bring Iglesias in when Harper's coming up. He did come in and strike out Rhys Hoskins to get that second out, but then Harper just made up for it. So game-tying home run, 6-6. Crowd, we were staying on our feet during Bryce Harper's at-bat, and it was just absolutely we were rewarded with that home run, which he had a fantastic reaction to it as well. And then in the 9th, Knebel came in, and as Knebel has been doing lately, gave up a run. He walked the first batter, and he just could not quite get out of it. It ended up being an RBI single past Rhys Hoskins. Watching it live, I feel like it probably should have been an error on Hoskins. It was to his I believe it was to his left, but Rhys has a habit of trying to slide for a stop or something when all he had to do was take a step or 2 over and pick the ball. So so it gave them a 7-6 lead in the top of the 9th, heading down to the bottom of the 9th. And then the bottom of the 9th, you have rookie Bryson Stott come up with, I believe it was Odubel on third, which Odubel had a really nice opposite field base hit to get on base. And then he went to third on an error. It was a ground ball that third baseman picked it and tried to just lob it to second, but he lobbed it into right field. That was off of the bat of Camargo, who stayed in, but ended up no, I'm sorry, that was in the 8th inning. I forget who hit that yesterday. The memories are starting to get blurry after that excitement. But anyway, you had runners on first and third, 2 outs, 3-2 count, and Bryson Stott just hits a walk-off home run to right field, again, a few sections over, and it was just amazing. He and Bryce Harper are both from Las Vegas. They're roomies during spring training, so it was just, there was a lot of love on that field between everybody. It was his second home run of the year, obviously his first career walk-off home run. Bryce Harper's grand slam was his 6th career salami, and it was also the first time in team history that there was a game-tying grand slam in the 8th inning or later, and then a walk-off home run to end it. It was also the first that they had a grand slam and a walk-off in the same game since July 22nd of 1985, where John Russell hit a grand slam in the first inning and Mike Schmidt hit a walk-off home run in the 9th. last final big takeaway from this, the Angels now have lost, I believe it's 10 or 11 in a row after starting out 27-17. And Mike Trout is officially in a slump. He is 0 for his last 26. So very rare thing to see from Mike Trout, but yeah, great ending to the week for the Phils. 4-game winning streak. They're now only 4 under 500, and it was a great start to the Rob Thompson era.
The Angels have lost 11 straight. Yeah, they've gone from first place in the West to being 8.5 games behind Houston at this point. Right now the Angels are just absolute garbage, frankly. So good to see, though, because, when you have a team that's stumbling, you need to take advantage. And honestly, Jason, if Joe Girardi's still manager, I don't know that happens.
If Joe Girardi's still the manager, Bryson Stott's not in that position.
Yeah.
I can tell you that much. If Joe Girardi is the manager, Bryson Stott is not. He's either not playing in this game or he's not hitting in that situation.
Yeah. So, and again, like I said earlier, I'm really glad you were able to be at that game. I mean, that's one of the most exciting things you could ever see, to see a grand slam and then a walk-off homer in the next inning. I mean, you're just not going to see that very often, period. And then to be there and have great seats for it. I saw your picture. Also, I don't know if Karen's still listening or not. How the hell, Karen, are you team no whiz? I do not understand that.
She's whiz without, so no onion.
Okay, that's better. Because to be fair, I don't really care to add onions because any good cheesesteak place in Philly, the onions are so ingrained into the cast iron griddle that whether you have onions or not, you're going to taste the onions. So you don't need the extra onions, and I don't care for the texture of onions when you bite into them.
Yeah, Tony Luke's cheesesteak is what I had at the ballpark, and Tony Luke's is top notch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will admit I'm not a complete purist. I typically actually prefer provolone to whiz, but if I'm in Philly, I'm getting the whiz because you're in Philly. You eat it right.
Got to get that aerosol cheese, man.
All right, Joe, do you have anything else about the Phillies?
I think you guys touched on it, but they certainly needed this. They needed this boost, and it's great to see what a change at the top can do for your younger guys. So,
all right, Joe. I'm going to let you kick off what we're going to call Cubs Hell Week, when MLB inexplicably had them scheduled to play 9 games in 7 days, which is, in my opinion, frank bullshit that they had to do that. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, this is a little nuts. I mean, you have a doubleheader Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so 4 games with Milwaukee, and then Thursday through Sunday a 5-game set with the Cardinals. So I'm rivalried out pretty much for the next week. And the week that this next week's not going to be much better for me. So, I think, yeah. So game one, the early game here on Memorial Day. The big story out of this one was Matt Swarmer, Kutztown product, who spent his when the minor leagues went shut down in 19, went to join an adult league in the summertime to keep his work up, and it's paid off for him. Gets a quality start in his debut at Wrigley. 6 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs. Only one of those runs is earned. 6 strikeouts, 2 home runs. In your debut on a big stage with the wind blowing out at Wrigley, I would take that. That's a great start for him. It really looked nice. Really looks. I love watching him pitch. I can't say enough about some of these homegrown guys that are coming up now, and what they're able to do. Ortega in this game goes 3 for 4 with a homer and an RBI, 2 runs. Nico had 2 RBI singles, one with 2 runs scored and one with just a 1 RBI and 2 stolen bases. The big story for this one is the Cubs went 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position. How the hell you had 17 opportunities and didn't cash in on it is ridiculous to me. Um, so that 11 guys left on base, 12 strikeouts, which is becoming sort of their Achilles heel, if you will. And Hader got his first of 2 saves in the day here on the first part of Monday here. Went an inning, 1 hit, 3 strikeouts in the ninth. So, the fact that this was a 1-run game when you had 17 opportunities with runners in scoring position and you only get 2 good hits in that time. It's nuts, absolutely nuts. PJ Higgins had a home run in this game, so some guys making some progress. Wisdom had 2 strikeouts in game 1, and they lose this one 7-6. Game 2, 3-1 loss. Milwaukee takes the nightcap on Monday as well. Aaron Ashby pitches in this game. Drew Smiley was pitching for the Cubs in this one, but Ashby went 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 12 strikeouts. So the Cubs continued to just strike out, which is not what they were doing back in April at all. They're just continuing to not be as disciplined as they need to be in the way things are going right now. Espinoza and Hughes in the bullpen after Smiley comes out of this game after 3 innings. Smiley went 3 innings, no hits, 3 strikeouts. Felt some tightness in the oblique and tried to pitch through it, and it got a little worse. And so he'll be down now for about a month at least. Smiley and Miley are on the IL. So it's not exactly what they were hoping for bringing those guys in. Wisdom had 2 strikeouts in this game. Wilson went 2 for 2 with the home run, 2 walks, an RBI, and a run. So Contreras did everything he could in this one, but when the rest of the guys weren't hitting, it's just not enough. And they don't get hits in key situations anymore, too, which is the other thing. Wisdom is a strikeout, regularity. Makes Javi Baez look like a disciplined hitter. And Wisdom, as of last night, has 74 strikeouts on the season. And we're only at the beginning of June. That's just unacceptable. It's ridiculous. So they're just not getting it done in key situations. They're not hitting the ball well. Hader again went a 1 inning, 1 strikeout for the save in this one. Gotta hit them where they ain't, and you gotta hit them when you got guys on. It's just they're just not doing that enough. Game 3, Justin Steele pitches this one. This was on Tuesday. Cubs win this one 8-7. Steele goes 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 4 walks, 6 strikeouts. Contreras and Schwindel had RBI doubles. Wilson again goes 2 for 4. Has a home run in this game. Gets hit again against Milwaukee, which I don't understand this crap. I really don't. I'd like to see a fight again, straighten this all out. But Happ has a triple in this game. Christopher Morel has a triple in this game. Frazier went 2 for 2 with a double, 2 walks, a run, and a stolen base. The Cubs are doing a lot of stealing, but they're also making mistakes on the base pass too. So it's kind of a 6 and 1, half dozen the other kind of thing for them on the base pass right now. Wisdom had a home run in the bottom of the 8th to put them ahead and give them the win here. So he has good nights, but he also has a lot of bad nights. So, Steele, the start for Steele wasn't terrible, but it could have been a lot better, location-wise and whatnot. But a win's a win. And it felt good to finally get one with Milwaukee here. And then Wednesday, game 4 of this first part of the week, which was just absolutely ridiculous. The Cubs win this one 4-3-10. Wisdom had this is his only game without a strikeout in the Brewers series, and he had 5 strikeouts in the entire series. So, it could have been a lot worse. Alexander took the hill for Milwaukee, didn't get the win or the loss. Went 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 3 strikeouts. Hendricks went 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, a walk and a strikeout. So not a bad start for Kyle, but not what we're looking for. I think he's still got to figure out how to get all of his pitches to work. And I think Yan Gomes being out is really hurting him quite a bit because that week or so where he was brilliant, Gomes was behind the plate and for him, and I think really makes a difference. Uh, Wilson kind of lets him pitch a little bit more and just kind of let him decide what to throw, whereas I think Gomes kind of tries to coach along in the middle of it, and make some calls that he thinks are good, baseball decisions, places to throw. So we'll be interested to see what happens when Gomes comes back. Um, if he becomes the everyday catcher for Hendricks. Wilson again, 2 for 4 in this game, an RBI, a run, and a stolen base. Um, the guy is getting it done, and this won't be the last time I say this, but Ricketts, you've got to extend this, man. This is ridiculous. You don't get catchers that are this dominant offensively and are so solid behind the plate very often. I know you stole the entire team last year, and I get it, but this is one of those guys you can't get rid of. I don't understand it. Um, Morel gets the sack fly in the bottom of the 10th, and he's been really fun to watch. He was their number 21 prospect in the minors coming into this point of the year, and he has earned his spot. Hayward's been hurt. A couple of other guys have been bad, and he's earned his spot starting in center field. He's hitting leadoff as a 22-year-old, and the man is just killing it. He's finding a way to get on base. 19 straight games, all 19 games, he's gotten on base one way or another. And that's what you want from a leadoff hitter. So, really getting it done, really fun to watch, exciting to watch. Him and Contreras together is just so much energy there. So a lot of fun to watch this game. As far as that goes, Morello again, just so fun to watch. Any thoughts on the Brewers? Okay.
No, I think you got it, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, keep on rolling, right? We roll into the weekend here. Thursday, we get the Cardinals. We start for game 1 of 5, which again, 9 games in a week is stupid. 5 games against one team in 4 days is absolutely nuts. So, Keegan Thompson takes the bump in this one. 5 1/3, 5 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Continues to find ways to get outs. This is the longest he's pitched. Every game he gets a little bit longer, and he's a permanent fixture in the rotation now, effective last week. So the dude has earned his spot. 89 pitches in this one, so he's getting closer and closer to being able to go 6, 7 innings and really be productive. So a lot of fun to watch. Again, super productive. Contreras again has a 2-run homer. Schwindel and Happ had homers. Frazier had an RBI single. Goldschmidt had an RBI double. Arenado had an RBI single, and Bader had a home run in the 9th inning for this one. So almost took this one away. But Thompson on the year right now, 6-0 with a 1.99 ERA. I would take that every day of the week. There's a lot of bright spots about this team, and a lot of this year for the Cubs is finding out what you have, and I think Thompson is definitely a yes. Steele is a yes, I think. Some of these other guys are definitely guys you have to keep. So it'll be just interesting to see where things go from here. But again, it's similar to what Jason was talking about with the Phillies, where Stott doesn't get those opportunities. Hayward is taking unnecessary reps from my guys, these younger guys who really need to, get that opportunity. So I would gladly give you Hayward so that my young guys don't miss opportunities. I'll be honest.
No thanks.
Nope.
You can send him back to the Braves. I'd be fine with that.
Absolutely not. As much as I love the guy, no.
Well, and that's the thing. So this is a really delicate balance that the Cubs are in, and we'll talk about this a little bit more here in a few minutes. But this is a really delicate balance they're in, where they've got to decide who are they going to give these opportunities to, and are you going to continue to give Hayward regular starting reps when it's not helping? Like Hayward is no max benefit really here. The benefit doesn't outweigh the issues there. So it's just a matter of time before they, I think, make the right move here, and whether that's DFAing him or if that's making up an injury so that he stays in the organization and just takes a week or two off here and there. I don't know, what they want to do there, but I think as much as again, everybody around the game loves the guy. Nobody hates Jason Hayward. It's just at some point there has to be an honest conversation about just how productive you are, I think, and how much of a value you have. So, but anyhow, game 2 of this Cardinals series. Cardinals win this one 14-5. This game was ugly. 3 for 10 with runners in scoring position, 8 left on base. Mikolas for the Cardinals, 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. Stroman was awful, and again, the only way he was left in this long is because they've had 6 games before this one, and they had a doubleheader the next day. Otherwise, there's no way he makes it. But he went 4 innings, 10 hits, 9 runs, all of them earned. A walk, 7 strikeouts, 3 home runs. To Goldschmidt, Dickerson, and Gorman, the guys hit home runs in this game for the Cardinals. Contreras and Nico didn't play in this game at all. If you don't play one of those guys, and if you don't play both of those guys, yes, I get you have a double header, but Stroman gets in the hole. You really don't have the firepower to get out of that. Big blown opportunity for the Cubs in the 5th. They had bases loaded with nobody out. Wisdom strikes out. Hayward hits a fly ball to center, and Ortega gets thrown out on the way trying to score. So you blow a bases loaded, no out opportunity like that, you're not going to win ball games. So that's just sort of where they are. Thompson for the Cardinals pitched well in relief, 4 innings, 3 hits, a run, and a walk. So again, the Cubs just aren't productive after a certain point, and they're not productive in key situations. Friday's game, the Cubs win this one 6-1. Actually, sorry. This is Saturday, the first game of the doubleheader. The days run together. Can't tell you that enough.
It's too many games and you can't keep track of it.
No. Yeah, that's so Matt Swarmer comes out again, game 1 of the doubleheader here on Saturday. 6 innings, 2 hits, a run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, 1 home run. So another quality start. 2 quality starts in your first 2 starts in the majors is more than you can ask for. And he gets his first win of the year, first win of his career in this one, 6-1. Morel went 3 for 5 with a run and an RBI. Schwindel 3 for 5, a homer, 2 RBIs and a run. Nico 2 for 3, hit by pitch and 2 runs and a steal. So, enough offense to outshine Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt didn't get a hit in this game, so that was his first game without a hit, I think, in quite some time. 28 games, 29 games, something ridiculous. But he did get 2 walks in this one, so his on-base streak is still alive. So that was game 1 on Saturday. Game 2 Saturday, Cubs lose this one 7-4. The big story of this game, Caleb Killian, who was the prospect in the KB deal last year with the Giants, made his debut, and this is like the best Your number one pitching prospect makes his debut, and this is like the biggest pitching debut for the Cubs probably since Samardzija or Mark Pryor. Where they've had a number one prospect come in and come up and make his debut. So this was huge for Cub fans. And he pitched well, 5 innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Um, pitched well enough to put them in a position to win the game. But Michael Rucker in the 10th comes in and gives up 3 hits, 4 runs, and doesn't record an out. So in the 9th inning, they had a chance to win it. They didn't. And you put the ball in the hands of Rucker, who's warmed up 3 times by this point in the game. And chances are, if you've had the guy throw 50 pitches in the bullpen, he's not going to be good when he gets in the game. That's just, not going to get it done. So they lose this one 7-4. But again, the bright spot is the pitching and the new guys that are coming up. And what they were able to do. So, I will take some of the good here. Obviously, the wins don't show up, but I'll take the good here. And then Cubs lose Sunday Night Baseball last night, the final game of this marathon week. They lose this one 5-3 in 11. Wainwright pitched 7 innings, 9 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, and didn't qualify for the win, which is remarkable. Steele pitched 7 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, and a strikeout. So Steele really is starting to figure things out, which is gonna create some questions and some things here for the next week or so when we've got some guys coming back position wise and some pitchers who are hopefully coming back too. So any way you can do to make that decision more difficult is a good thing, particularly as a young guy. So good on Steele for keeping his major league prospects alive and keeping his starting prospects alive, because about a week or so ago, I was kind of like, maybe he needs to switch. A lot of Cup guys were saying, well, maybe he needs to go back to the bullpen and Thompson's your starter. So he's doing enough to keep himself in the conversation. Cabrera gets the win for the Cardinals in this one, 4 innings, 2 hits, a run, 5 strikeouts. There's just not enough offense in this game for the Cubs to really, again, that was the theme of the week, is offensively they just missed too many opportunities, and their pitching was good enough to keep them in games. And that's, all you can expect from some of these guys. And unfortunately, the bats just aren't there. We've talked about Hayward getting reps when he shouldn't. We've talked about Wisdom striking out in key situations. So, they've got to put the offensive pieces together, and hopefully they can start to do that along with this pitching. But there's a lot of guys who are playing who shouldn't be, and a lot of guys who are hurt that are coming back. So anyway, that's enough about last week. Any thoughts?
It's just a rough week. It's not right that the Cubs had to play that many games. It's just ridiculous scheduling. I mean, I get that they needed to try and squeeze games in because of the late start to the year, which again, it's not even the players' faults. It's the owners and the league office. So, but I definitely feel for you there.
Yeah, I don't. The Cubs have been on the wrong side of a lot of these, where it's been nasty weather and they play the game, and then a week like this where you just pack as many games as you can into a week, and I don't really get it. I don't understand that. I don't think it's good for the game. It's not good for the players. There's plenty of ways to make this up, particularly with in-division rivals. You're going to have more opportunities down the road where, hey, maybe there's a 3-game set with a common off day. Well, then we can put a 4th one in, before or after. But to try to jam the schedule so full was kind of ridiculous.
Now, last time I checked, the Brewers and the Cardinals are in the same damn division. as the Cubs. They play each other like 19, 20 frickin' times a season.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that there was nowhere else in the schedule they could have thrown one of those double headers. Is it September? No, it's June. There is no damn reason any team should be playing 9 games in 7 days in June. If it was September and we're stuck at the end of the schedule and there is literally no other place to put the games and the games are needed to determine playoff seeding or anything like that, okay, that you chalk up to shit happens. This is utter crap and it never should have happened. And honestly, the fact that the Cubs did as well as they did this week is pretty damn remarkable. Because to be honest, Joe, playing against two of the best teams in your division and the fact that you managed to sneak a couple wins here and there, that's impressive.
Well, especially the way the Brewers looked in game 1 and 2 pitching wise. I mean, you get to Hader and good luck to you. And, we were talking last Tuesday night, well, Hader might be our reliever of the week. And it was like, well, he's off to a hell of a start. And then I didn't see him the rest of the series, which don't get me wrong, I didn't miss him. But yeah, if you had told me last Monday night or last Tuesday when we were recording that we would win 4 out of the 9, I would have told you were crazy. So I'm happy with getting the wins where they needed to get them, but I just wish that they easily could have won this week 6-3 if they had just gotten offense in key spots, and that's the thing that's so disappointing. About some of the decision making, and some of this is more front office than it is the dugout. I mean, as much as I like to rag on David Ross regularly, the fact that Contreras is hanging in limbo and most of us just assume he's going to get traded at this point, it's just not right, man. It's just ridiculous. And the fact that we're letting Hayward with 1.5 years left on his deal continue to eat up innings is just ridiculous.
Oh, poor Hayward, man. I remember when
I need an owner like Steve Cohen who says, screw it, I don't care, get rid of him. And again, nothing against Jason Hayward, stand-up guy, great dugout presence. Make him a player coach for all I care. Do something.
Just not a starter.
Right. There's no way he should be starting over Clint Frazier. No way he should start over Christopher Morel. That's for damn sure. There's just no way he should be starting at this point.
No, I actually, I wholeheartly agree with that. And, like I said, I will always be a fan of Jason Hayward from his time with Atlanta. Him cranking that home run in his first at bat was just utterly insane. And it wasn't just like it scraped the fence. It was a no-doubter. It really, I hate to see how much his skills have eroded over the years because he is a fun guy to watch. All right, Joe, we'll give you a break. It sounds like you need it. You had just as hard of a time as the Cubs trying to do 9 games in 7 days. All right, so the week didn't start great for Atlanta. It was one of those damn Midwest trips, which are either going to go really well for Atlanta or they're going to go like absolute garbage. Didn't start great, but it ended really well. So out in Arizona, they dropped 2 out of 3. Game 1, they lost 6-2. Zach Gallen pitched really well, struck out 6 over 5 2/3. The Braves played really sloppy in the field in this game, so the offense never really had a chance to play back into the game. Pavin Smith hit a 3-run homer off Spencer Strider. He was a little up and down, but I honestly, despite the home run, it was a fairly solid effort. 4 1/3, 4 hits, 5 runs, only 3 of which were earned because of all the damn errors. 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. This is the one that drove me nuts. In the 5th inning, Matt Olson, who does have a Gold Glove from his time out in Oakland, he dropped what should have been an inning-ending double play. And then predictably, Kettle Marte hit a 2-run double. Peralta drove Marte home. So you just hate to see that. Riley had a solo home run. That was his 12th of the season. the Braves were not able to move runners. They went over 10 with runners in scoring position. They left 8 guys on base. Game 2 was an 8-7 loss in 10, and this one was also incredibly frustrating. They had a 6-2 lead in the bottom of the 6th. Arizona, they just kept chipping away. They rallied both in the 6th and the 8th to force extra innings. In the 10th, Swanson started on second. Ozuna drove him in on a single, but then Peralta tied the game in the bottom of the 10th. And then Cooper Hummel, who was smashing balls early in the game, but right at people, hit a floater double into right field to win the game, because that's baseball. Olsen had a big game that got wasted. He went 4 for 5 with a pair of doubles and a 2-run homer and had 4 RBIs for the game. Both teams, great defense in this game. They both turned 3 double plays. Jansen did blow his 3rd save of the season in 15 opportunities at that point. Ketel Marte's hitting streak was almost snapped, but of course he got a single in the 9th and extended it to 13 games. The Braves did take the 3rd game in the series, 6-0. Austin Riley's kind of having a power resurgence. He had a 439-foot 3-run homer in the 7th to break the game open. That was his 5th homer in the last 8 games, 13th of the season. So he said in an interview after the game that one of the Braves' assistant coaches, Bobby Malganis, he noticed that when he was swinging, he was opening his shoulders up too soon, so he was losing all of his power and just squibbing hits. So they worked. He's squaring up now and is hitting much better again. Kyle Wright, he pitched well, 6 scoreless innings, struck out 5. He did walk 5, but only allowed 3 hits. Madison Bumgarner, this is a guy who always pitches well against Atlanta. Before this game, he had won his previous 8 decisions against Atlanta. And even though he took the loss finally, he still pitched well. 6 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. The Braves were belting doubles all over the park. Little Contreras had 2. Duvall, Heredia, and Harris all had 1 each. And the Braves pitching held the Diamondbacks to 3 hits for the entire game. This is the first game all season, crazy as this sounds, that Kyle Wright's received more than 3 runs of support. In his previous 9 starts, the Braves had scored a grand total of 16 runs for him. So imagine that. Score your guy some runs, and he's going to pick you up some wins. You know, what's not to love about that? I feel like we talk about this a lot with Aaron Nola and the Phillies as well this year. Sound about right, Jason? Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's see here. And this was the 5th time Arizona's been shut out this season, so definitely not a number Arizona wants to see continue to rise. Marte did extend his hit streak. He is now up to a career best 14. Olsen had been on a double streak. He had been on a 3-game streak of hitting doubles. He had hit 5 in the previous 3 games. That got snapped. This is a crazy number, guys. He currently leads MLB with 23 doubles this season. He's on pace to hit 73. The MLB record is held by Earl Webb. He was an outfielder for the Red Sox who hit 67 of them, but that was back in 1931. Only 6 players have hit 60-plus doubles in a season. The last time that happened was 1936. The Braves franchise record is held by Hall of Famer Hugh Duffy, who had 51 of them back in 1984. So if Olsen stays on pace, he should at the very least hopefully set the franchise record. Then after Arizona, we moved on to beautiful Coors Field, where the Braves are not known for playing very well at, and they managed to take a 4-game sweep. So it opened up with a 13-6 thumping. Travis d'Arnaud hit 2 home runs in the game, including a grand slam. He had 6 RBIs, which was a career high. For the game, Atlanta had 18 hits. At this point, the Rockies had allowed 39 runs over the previous 3 games and given up 51 hits in 2 days. I think they had a doubleheader in there. At least, good God, I hope they had a doubleheader in there because that's horrible. d'Arnaud is the first Atlanta catcher to drive in 6+ runs since Javi Lopez did it back in 2003. For the record, Javi Lopez was always my mom's favorite Brave, probably because of his well-toned glutes from squatting so much. That's my personal guess. C.J. Cron and Garrett Hampton had homers for the Rockies. Blackman went 4 for 5. Gomber has not – they were hoping he could, give the bullpen a break because their bullpen was pretty taxed coming into this game. No, he gave up 9 earned runs in 5 innings along with 10 hits. He's now given up 15 earned runs in his past 2 starts. So if you've got Gomber coming up for the Rockies, tell your hitters to get ready. Anderson, 5 earned runs in six innings, but he did strike out 9. Albie, Swanson, Acuna, Harris all had doubles. Riley had 2 doubles. Reddy had a triple, and the defense once again turned 3 double plays. Game 2 was a 3-1 victory. The Braves finally became the last team in Major League Baseball to win 3 games in a row. Yikes. Although they still haven't lost 3 games in a row, so I'll take that. Max Fried, he dominated the Rockies, 8 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, which didn't come until there was 1 out in the 8th, struck out 4, but he didn't get the win because nobody scored in the first 9 innings. That's only the second time that's ever happened in the history of Coors Field, that there was no score after 9 innings. The last time that happened was September 14th of 2008 when the Rockies beat the Dodgers in a game that was started by one of me and Joe's favorite guys, the great Greg Maddux. In the 10th inning, everything just kind of fell apart in the Rockies. Duvall scored on Esteves' wild pitch, and then Olsen singled home Acuna and Swanson. Connor Joe did extend his on-base streak to 30 games, but Max Fried managed to snap Brendan Rodgers' 20-game hit streak. I mean, you don't see 20 games too often, so good job for Fried to cut that off. The next game was a 6-2 win in 11 innings, which, again, you don't see 11-inning games in Colorado very often either. So this was the Rockies City Connect jersey. That was their first appearance, but the Braves were happy to spoil it. Pitching was dominant again. They only allowed 3 hits to the Rockies. It's the first time that the Rockies have been held to 3 hits or less in back-to-back games at Coors Field in franchise history. Riley had a big game. He had a triple and a solo shot in the 6th to tie the game at 1. Ozuna and Contreras each had 2-out RBI doubles in the 11th before Duvall hit a 2-run homer to ice the Rockies. And then to end the weekend off, it was an 8-7 victory. The bats showed up big once again. Acuna went 4 for 5. He had a solo home run that he smashed 441 feet. That was his 6th career 4-hit game. Olsen had a 3-run homer that also traveled 441 feet. Duvall went 2 for 4 with a double and a triple. Riley also knocked home Acuna in the 1st to start the scoring. Morton picked up his 4th win. He allowed 4 runs in 5 innings. I mean, Morton's starting to get the outs. He's still allowing a lot of runs, which I'm not so concerned about at Coors Field because Coors Field is screwy as hell. But I think his ERA is still over 5 for the season, so I'm still a little concerned with that. The Braves knocked Feltner out early. He only lasted 3 innings and gave up 6 runs. Jansen picked up his 14th save, although he did allow a 438-foot home run to Charlie Blackmon. The Braves are now on a 5-game winning streak and are above 500 for the first time since opening week when they were 2-1. Yeah. It's been a while. The Rockies have now dropped 20 of their last 27 since they started the season 16-11. Olsen accounted for 9 RBIs during the 4-game series, and the Braves went 5-2 on the road trip. The Rockies committed 2 more errors in this game. They now lead MLB with 46 errors on the season. Jason, there is hope that there is a worse defensive team than the Phillies. The Rockies wore the City Connect jerseys again on Sunday and announced that they're going to be wearing them for every Sunday home game for the remainder of the season. Guys, Atlanta, that was a 17 straight day run for them, and they finished with an 11-6 record. To be honest with you, I'm very pleased with those results. 17 straight games is absolute insanity. It's not 9 games in 7 days, thank God, but 17 straight, that's a long time to be playing consecutive games.
Yeah, and that was one of my big takeaways that I was going to touch on if you hadn't caught onto that was 11-6 in a 17-day stretch without a break that's fantastic. The Braves needed that, and like for something like that, as a Braves fan, I would probably been happy with 8 or 9 wins out of that stretch. But getting 11 out of that is a really good run for them.
Yeah, I would have been happy with 8 or 9, to be completely honest with you. 2 injury updates. Matzik has started his throwing progression. He's probably still a month away from coming back, if I had to guess. And Rosario has started to hit in the batting cage, so hopefully we'll be seeing him come back relatively soon. He was shifted to the 60-day IL, but that's just an administrative move to open up a 40-man spot. So they're not expecting him to be out any longer than they were initially anticipating. Guys, anything else from that week for Atlanta? I mean, honestly, they're on a 5-game streak. This is the best stretch they have played all season. Sad as that is.
And it's come at a good time for them, I think. The bats have come alive, and they've had good enough pitching to get to this point. And,
Unfortunately.
Again, just at the right time, really, to start picking things up, as a team. So they're really hitting their stride, and it's good to see for you, for sure.
And the fact that the entire staff pitched so well at Coors Field, because as we all know, Coors Field is such a wild card for what's going to happen with your pitching staff. So the fact that they not only got the sweep, but that the pitching was so dominant. I mean, to hold the Rockies at 3 hits or less in back-to-back games for the first time ever at Coors Field, that's crazy. And we've seen some absolute garbage teams play at Coors Field, and the fact that that's never happened before is just insane.
Yeah, and I think too, it's nice to. It must have been nice to see those City Connects in live on TV. It certainly was a better look than the Wrigleyville uniforms, which are just garbage. And hence, they wore the Wrigleyville uniforms on Friday and lost 14-5. So what's that tell you?
Get rid of them, or at least tweak. So I wasn't going to bring this up, but I'll just mention it quick. The Dodgers actually tweaked their City Connect jerseys. They're not doing the Los Dodgers hat anymore. I think it's more of a traditional hat, and they added a little bit more black emphasis on the sleeves. It is a little bit better. It's still a terrible uniform, and I hate seeing it, but it is very, very slightly better. You guys know the one thing I mentioned last week that I was worried that the numbers would get lost in the Rockies jerseys. When the players were moving, it was hard to keep track of the numbers. When they were standing still, you could see it just fine. And especially because on the chest, they've got the mountains like way up. And then on the back, it's like mid-back. Why didn't they just keep it high and keep the numbers entirely in the green? So it would be white on green. Whether you keep the purple outline or not, it wouldn't matter at that point. Still, though, honestly, they looked, other than that, which is really a very, very minor complaint, it's still a very, very good-looking set of uniforms. I thought they looked really nice in the field, honestly. All right, guys, let's move on to the hot players. For me this week, my hot players, I had Yordan Alvarez of Houston, a 565, 630, 1.217 line, 8 runs, 4 homers, 8 RBIs, a double and a triple. I had Brendan Rodgers of the Rockies, 345, 424, 828 line, 10 runs scored, 4 homers, 7 RBIs, 2 doubles. I had Wilson Contreras of the Cubbies, a 367, 500, 733 line. He scored 8 runs, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, a stolen base, oddly enough, for a catcher, and 2 doubles. And yes, Jason, I put Austin Riley on there, 355, 412, 774. He did score 8 runs with 3 homers, 8 RBIs, 2 doubles, and a triple. Joe, anybody else for you on the hot list for hitters?
I had Matt Olson from the Braves on this. I don't know if you mentioned him or not. It was 296, 367, 593, 2 runs, 8 hits, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 11 RBIs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. The Moneyball guy for me was Yandy Diaz for the Tampa Bay. Average 500, 692 on base, 563 slugging, 3 runs, 8 hits, a double, an RBI, 9 walks, 1 strikeout, 1 stolen base, and 1 time caught. That's trying to make things happen. So
9-to-1 walk to strikeout ratio. Damn, that's impressive. And no, the only reason I didn't put Olson on there is because I didn't want to be accused of too much homerism. Because let's face it, the Cheshire Cat down there was going to say something if I did that. Jason, did you have anybody else to add for the hitters?
No, and I would have had Riley on this one too. This is the one time that you put him on the list that he actually deserves to be on the list. So, still not a top 5 MVP candidate, but the other person that I have in here that I don't think I've heard from either of you was Paul Goldschmidt. he's just been kind of the hottest hitter in the game, period, lately. I know his hitting streak did come to an end in Chicago, but he has been on an absolute tear lately. So I would have added him to the list, actually.
Yeah, he's just had a hell of a season so far, period. Oh, also, Joe, I didn't hear you mention it. One thing I forgot to bring up. Props to Albert Pujols hitting yet another major milestone for games played or appearances in. So, props to Pujols for the guaranteed first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, 3,000 games played. That's quite remarkable.
That's insane. You know, my brother and I were talking at Ben's dance recital over the weekend before it started. Pujols' 10-year run with the Cardinals the first time was among the most dominant 10-year performances I've ever seen from any player in baseball history from guys I've watched. Can you guys think of anybody who was more dominant over 10 years than Pujols was? I can't think of anybody.
I mean, Rivera was great in the pitching role. I don't know if it was for 10 years, but he's the performance that sticks out to me. But
yeah,
I kind of also, I know we don't really talk about him too much, but I feel like Barry Bonds would be in consideration for this. You know, everything else aside, looking at numbers only, he was fairly dominant. And I'd also even add in Miguel Cabrera in on that list potentially too.
Yeah, I could definitely see Mickey in there. Barry, yeah, you might be able to pick a 10-year stretch that he was probably pretty close to. Yeah. How many?
I mean, even
he did
aside
have like 7 MVPs.
Yeah, I mean, and even aside from the home runs, the walks he generated, you know, intentional walks, and he was a very feared hitter. So
for good reason. Barry Bonds, let's remember he's the all-time leader in walks as a hitter in the history of baseball with 2,558. That's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. All right, hot pitchers for me. I had Framber Valdez of the Astros, 2-0, 15 innings, 12 strikeouts, 180 ERA, a .80 whip. He gave up 3 earned runs, 6 hits, 6 walks, and a home run, and had a complete game in there to boot. I had Aaron Ashby of the Brewers. He went 1-1, 12 innings, 21 strikeouts, 3.75 ERA, 1.08 whip, 5 earned runs, 11 hits, 2 doubles, 2 homers. Martin Perez of the Rangers, 1-0, 13 and third innings, 12 strikeouts, 1.38 ERA, .92 whip, 2 earned runs allowed, 10 hits, 2 walks, and 1 home run. George Kirby of Seattle, 1-0, 12 innings, 11 strikeouts, 1.5 ERA, .83 whip, 2 earned runs, 9 hits, a walk, and 2 home runs. And I had Luis Severino of the Yankees. I mean, he only had 1 start, but damn, 1-0, 7 1/3 innings, 10 strikeouts, 1 hit, 1 walk. That's a .29 whip. Jason, anybody else for you for pitchers?
I have 2 here. It kind of cycles slightly into the week prior, but I went based off of the last 2 starts. I have Nick Pivetta from the Red Sox on here. In his last 2 starts, he's 13 innings pitched, 7 hits, 1 earned run, and 12 strikeouts. He's won both of those starts. And same with Sandy Alcantara of the Marlins. 15 innings pitched, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 22 strikeouts. I mean, even looking back to his start even before that, which was also against the Braves, like he was dominant there too. Sandy Alcantara right now, I think, may be your front runner for the NL Cy Young. He lowered his ERA down, lowered his ERA to a 1.81 on the season over the last couple starts here. So those 2 would be on my hot pitcher list.
Yeah, Alcantara dominated the Braves the last 2 times in a row that he faced them. Yeah, He's Alcantara is absolutely ridiculous right now. Let me just pull up one thing here. He is second in the NL right now to Joe Musgrove with a 1.81 ERA. He's got a 6-2 record, 74 and 2/3 innings pitched. He struck out 71 guys, which is good for was that about top 10, 6? Yeah, 10 or he's 10th in the NL right now in strikeouts. He has generated 2.7 WAR as a pitcher so far, which is second to Martin Perez in all of baseball. And that 0.98 whip is just utterly ridiculous. That is good for, I can't find it. Oh, there it is. In all of baseball, he's 15th in whip right now. I mean, Alcantara is on fire. And frankly, when I see the Marlins on the schedule, I hope to God I don't see him because we have not beaten him once this year. And based on how he's pitching, I'm not sure we're going to beat him. I'm just not feeling that at all. Joe, any other hot pitchers?
Jose Barrios, I didn't think I heard you mention him. 1-0 this week, 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs. Gave up 1 home run, 2 walks, but he had 13 strikeouts in his appearance this week. Wainwright didn't get a win this week, but he pitched 14 innings, 11 hits, 2 runs only, 3 walks, 10 strikeouts. So continues to just deal and put his team in position to win games.
Man, the fact that he did all of that and didn't get a win, that sucks because that's really good pitching. All right, Joe, who is your adulting reliever of the week?
This is a twofer this week because there's really not too much that separates these guys. Emmanuel Claus from Cleveland, 2 for 2 with save opportunities. Pitched in another game, so 3 innings pitched, 4 strikeouts, no hits, no runs. And then Liam Hendricks for the White Sox, 2 for 2 with save opportunities, 2 innings, 3 strikeouts, no hits, no runs. Just getting it done.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is. Definitely doing a little better than he did in the Field of Dreams game last year, to say the least. All right. I actually have a somewhat smaller hot teams list than I've had the last couple weeks where I feel like I've had almost half the league on there. This week, and it's actually, we have an even AL-NL split, I think, for the first time all year. AL teams, Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox, Astros for me. NL teams, Mets, Braves, Cardinals, and Pirates. I know I was shocked that I'm even considering the Pirates, but the Pirates coming into games tonight are on they're 7-3 in the last 10, and they're on a 2-game winning streak. They've managed to move themselves up to 3rd in the division right now. I still don't expect them to do anything with that, but it's a surprisingly good week for a team that we do not mention in the realm of having a good week very often.
They swept the Dodgers within the last week to week and a half.
Last week, yeah.
Damn. Okay, yeah, they absolutely have earned the spot on the hot list by sweeping the Dodgers. Wow. That's impressive. Yeah,
my only hope at this point is to just outrun Cincinnati at the end of the year. That's all I'm trying to do.
And you'll notice for the first time, I think the first time all year, I don't have one team from the NL West on this list. I briefly considered the Padres. They were the only one of the teams out there that I even considered, though. I mean, LA is not playing very well right now. Neither are the Giants, Diamondbacks, and Rockies. So, rough week for the NL West, to say the least. And I got to say, I'm not shedding too many tears about that either. Joe, any other teams you'd want to toss on there?
No, I think you hit them. Again, the Pirates are doing big things. The NL West is in a bit of a downfall this last week. Will that continue? Probably not. The Mets continue to win ball games.
Yeah, as much as I hate to say it, I mean,
we keep waiting for the shoe to drop, and if they keep doing what they're doing and Alonso keeps hitting the way he's hitting, they're getting McGill back maybe in a week or two.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this. I'll say this: Atlanta's getting hot at the right time. they've managed to stay within 8.5 games, which there's still plenty of time to chip into that. Jason, I almost put the Phillies on there. The Giant series, which is so bad, I couldn't. But if they keep rolling like this, I fully expect to be putting the Phillies on the hot list next week, especially with the change in managers. And the Phillies are only at 11 out. It's not, again, just like the Braves. We have time to chip away at the Mets. The Mets, I don't think the Mets are going to keep up this torrid pace, especially if they keep getting hit with injuries. And I sincerely hope they don't, because a nice 3-team battle royale in September is, hey, if we could survive last year's battle royale, why not another one? Who needs blood pressure? Jason, anybody else for you for the hot teams?
Not really. I'm not surprised that you didn't put the Phillies on there, even though they have a 4-game winning streak to end the week.
I almost did.
Even though the Braves get on there somehow.
The 5-5 in the last 10 really kind of turned me off.
I didn't realize we were going last 10. I thought it was just for the week.
No, I look at the week, but I also look at how they're doing over the last 10 too. I do a little bit of both.
But no, and the thing that I think that the Phils have going for them is after the Brewers series this week, their schedule gets much better.
Yeah.
They are through their instead of hell week that Joe had, hell 2 months.
Yeah.
And I think I saw it was like 44 plus games out of their last 90, or like 60 games out of the last 90, something like that, is against teams like the Diamondbacks, the Nationals, the Marlins, the Pirates, the Reds. So
now, I will say this. Don't count the Marlins and the Diamondbacks as automatic wins, because those are the teams they seem to play down to. But
and that's what I was going to say, is that their schedule looks like it does. It gets easier. They have these games coming up against teams that they should win and teams that they need to win the series against. So, if they're going to make a run, it's going to be starting after this next series.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so looking at the week coming up, Atlanta's got a weird week. Thankfully, they're off tonight. Like I said, after 17 games, it's about damn time they have a day off. They've got 2 versus the A's in one of these wonderful 2-game series I just love. You got Wright versus Irvin and Anderson versus Caprillion, and then 4 versus the Pirates, and what should be a really good series, how the Pirates are playing. Fried versus Brubaker, Strider versus Contreras, Morton versus Thompson, Wright versus Quintana. The Cubbies have a 5-game week this week because, God, you guys have earned a short week after last week. All on the road, though. 2 at the Orioles down in Camden Yards, Thompson versus Braddock, Stroman versus Lyles. And then 3 at the Yankees, Hendricks versus Severino, Steele versus Montgomery, Thompson versus Talion. Joe, I like your chances against the Orioles. I do not like your chances in New York, especially the way Severino's been pitching lately. What do you think about this, man?
This is a bit of a toss-up week, I think. Which Stroman and which offense do we get on Wednesday night against the Orioles? Because that's not a given right now. Stroman and Hendricks both have Stroman's got a 5.3 and Hendricks has a 5.2 ERA. Not what you want from your top 2 guys. So, or what could be your top 2 guys. So, Stroman's a mixed bag. We'll see what we get on Wednesday with him. The Yankees series, I think, is a lot more for me about emotion as a Cub fan. First time they're playing against Rizzo. Thankfully, it's in New York, so it's not nearly as tough to take mentally watching it. So, so that's going to be a big weekend for Cubs faithful and Cubs fans. The way Thompson is pitching, you can't count him out. The way Steele pitched last week, they could easily take 2 of 3 in New York if they get lucky.
And sometimes luck is all you need. The Yankees don't come back to Wrigley Field this year. Huh. That's stupid. I would have loved to have seen what kind of reception Rizzo would have gotten from the crowd on his return to Wrigley Field.
Well, it definitely would have been better than what he got on the South Side. So,
well, I mean, yeah, that's fair. And then the Phillies this week, you've got 3 at the Brewers: Suarez versus Alexander, Nola versus Hauser, Eflin versus Burns. Which that last matchup is not nearly as frightening as it would normally be. Eflin's actually pitched pretty well lately. And 3 versus the Diamondbacks: Wheeler versus Galen, Gibson versus Bumgarner, which I think that's going to be a great game. And Suarez versus TBA. The D-backs haven't announced their starter yet. Jason, this is a week where the Phillies, like you said, they need to win the games they need to win. I'm really curious to see what they do against the Brewers. It's going to be a good litmus test to see kind of where this team's going under new leadership. But they need to take 2 out of 3 from the Diamondbacks. If they don't, that's going to be a problem, especially at home.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing for the Phils lately is with their win yesterday, they were finally back to 500 at home. They were playing much better on the road than they were at home. So I'm hoping that continues at least in Milwaukee, that they play really well on the road. I think that I would like to see them get 2, of course, and I think it's certainly possible. I think they have a really good shot at winning the Nola game, especially with how well he's been pitching so far this season. A couple rough starts, but overall pitching well. And they need Ranger to kind of get back into the way he had been pitching. And then Eflin's been solid. So, I mean, he can hopefully go toe-to-toe with Corbin Burns. I think that potentially is going to be a lower scoring game, just because the Brewers offense is okay. Like their strength is their pitching. So it's a matter of how the Philly bats do in Milwaukee. And then again, against the Diamondbacks, they have to win at least 2. I would expect them to win the Wheeler game, Wheeler being Wheeler, hopefully, and then the offense picking him up. And again, you have Ranger coming in there, or Gibson, and then Ranger. So, yeah, I'm hopeful for a like a 2-1 type of week.
Yeah, I don't know what's up with Suarez this year. I mean, he's gone from a 1.36 ERA to a 4.69 ERA. And he's already, last year he only walked 33 guys. He's already up to 22 walks this year. Strikeouts are at 42.
I think people are seeing him more, so they're starting to pick up on some things that he might do. It feels as though hitters have been a lot more patient against Ranger, because every now and then he might get a little wild or start missing the plate. So he needs to get pitches into the strike zone early to start to have those hitters start swinging earlier in the count to get those ground balls on the sinker, and things like that. So he needs to start hitting his spots earlier on in the counts and earlier on in the game.
Well, and one other thing, Jason, I'm concerned about with Ranger, he's already tied his career high for home runs allowed, and with 6. And the only other time that happened, he only pitched 48 innings that whole season. And that's where he's at right now. So people are definitely squaring up on him better than they did last year. Sometimes one season can be a fluke. I really don't think it is, because his stuff is pretty good. But this is, I think at this point, I'm not ready to relegate him to the bullpen by any means like that. But I would be, from an outside perspective, I'm starting to get pretty worried. Maybe not pretty worried, but I'm definitely starting. The worry is starting to creep in from my perspective. Just the drastic turnaround from last year to this year.
Yeah, and I think some of that is last year he was forced to stretch out. Like he was in the bullpen until all those injuries to the rotation. So I think he has to kind of refigure things out a little bit, since he is getting stretched out again now. I think within the next couple of years, assuming he's still on the roster, I think you will see him in the bullpen, just because the Phillies farm system right now, with some of the starting pitching they have, they're going to be able to complete the rotation within the next couple years. Especially, I mean, they have Wheeler and Nola on yet for at least 1-2 plus more years. So I think eventually, if Ranger's still on the team, you'll see him go down to the bullpen. But I'm not really overly concerned right now, because some of the issues also, he also hasn't necessarily been getting the run support. So now that the bats are heating up, he might be able to relax a little bit more and not worry about having to try to be perfect, because that might be part of it too.
Yeah, you tend to overthrow when you feel like you can't make a single mistake, which I think is a lot of what was happening with Noah last year too. All right, guys, are there any other series you guys are keeping an eye on this week? Jason?
Yeah, there's two. For the early games this week, the Cardinals are in Tampa playing the Rays, so that's a really good matchup there. And then later this week we have the NL West battle of the Dodgers in San Francisco against the Giants.
Yeah, that'll be a big one. I mean, like I said, hey, maybe we'll finally have an NL West team back on the hot list next week, because they seem to be on there every other week except for this week. Joe, you said no other series for you?
I'm pretty, after last week, I'm pretty tapped out. I'll catch some of the 5 games and keep score, tabs on some scores, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm happy Atlanta's at home this week, so I can watch games at normal times and not at 9, 10 o'clock starts, which just, they don't work when you start at 5:30 in the morning on a golf course mowing grass. So, yeah, I'm happy I can at least see some games this week as opposed to, oh, hey, look at that highlight. Oh, I wish I could have seen that. God damn. So I get to miss all of that this week. Back to normal. All right, guys, you can find the audio recordings on Anchor, Spotify, Breaker, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Amazon Music, and Spreaker. You can see us live on our YouTube channel, on Facebook Live, and on Twitter. You can find our merchandise at redbubble.com/people/DDAB-podcast. Follow us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/dollardogsandbeer. On the Twitter page at DDAB_podcast. You can find all three of us on Twitter. I'm at PyroLord314. Jason's at JRicker300. Joe's at JoltonJoe35. We are presented by Dark Arrow Podcast LLC, and we are sponsored by the amazing Whiskey and Blade Barbershop in Lidditz. Johnny, I will see you in, I believe, 2 weeks. May your dogs always cost $1. May your beer always be cold. Have a good night, everyone.